Now, journalist Tamsin Kelly wrote in the Mail earlier this week about her recent decision to start leaving her youngsters, the eldest of which is 11 and her two twins at 9, at home alone. Now, not for full days, but while she pops out to the supermarket. And she refers to this decision as one of the last taboos of modern parenting. And I think she's kind of quite right about that. Do you agree? I mean, at what age is it OK to start leaving your kids home alone?
I think it's a personal decision, and I think, as I'm sure we all agree, that it does depend on the child. I read this article, and I did think it was very honest of her, and she does also put in brackets, and don't condemn me, thousands of others do it too. Basically, I just wanted to sort of flag up from her point of view that we're not talking about her leaving her 11 and 9-year-olds alone while she goes out for a night. We're talking about while she nips to the shops and stuff like that.
Yeah, but the supermarket's a couple of hours.
Well, she did. I don't know whether she actually said the supermarket. She did just say for short. Did she for short periods of time? But anyway. Again, I sort of get where she's coming from. From a personal point of view, I've just always been manic about it. The house we lived in before, we lived in a house in Cheshire right next to a sort of a petrol garage with a little shop. And I remember Matthew was probably about 11. And literally one day, rushing next door to this shop and nearly having a breakdown because I was convinced, not that I thought that he'd get up to anything or that he was, you know, mature enough to not cause any problems himself. But I just suddenly thought that there would be a gas explosion or that something would happen or some abductor would come in the back door and got it. But I think that I'm the other way, and I'm actually making myself mad. Matthew's now 20 and said, "Mum, will you please stop picking up my phone every time it's on its own and getting all my friends' numbers out of it so that I can constantly stalk him when he's out, you know?" And if Louis, we live near a farm, which is literally as far as the back row of the audience is here, and if Louis goes up to get some eggs from the couple next door, again, I'm nearly sending out a search party if he's not back in 2 seconds. So I think that I'm the other way. Yeah, but I stand at that. I pretend to let him do it, but I actually stand at the bottom of the lane like that. But it does upset me because in our day, in the sort of, you know, those wonderful days, my mum, who would never let my children out of her sight for 2 seconds, you know, used to let Debbie and I go and feed our horse who was stabled 3 miles away.
That's slightly different. I know, but going out of the house. We're talking about leaving.
We're talking about
in the house with all the things that can go wrong.
Well, yes, but out of the house is probably
well, no, I don't. Most people
I don't know. I mean, I think there's hazards in both, really, and I think you're right, Lynda. Leaving them home alone when there is the potential for, you know, for them to put the oven on, they could burn them.
But we're talking about an 11-year-old. I mean, as I say, I think that's even quite different to 9. Again, I'm not condoning it. I'm just saying that most 11-year-olds are quite sensible.
Still a child.
It is, of course, it's still a child, and we're not saying, you know, sort of leave them
I don't
overnight.
think I'd leave an 11-year-old on their own. Well, I know I wouldn't leave an 11-year-old on its own, but I certainly wouldn't leave an 11-year-old looking after 2 9-year-olds. Because it's too much pressure on the... If something did happen, can you imagine how that 11-year-old would feel possibly for the rest of its life? Yeah. And you can't expect them... You know, if the 11-year-old, for instance, is stuck on its computer, you know, they're not adult enough to go to, like, say, oh, where are the 2 9-year-olds? They won't even think about it. So who knows what those two are up to? I mean, it is... I do think you have to base it on the child. Some children mature quicker than others and all of that. But, I mean, I did it... the first time I left the boys on their own, because Ray was very strict. We're not leaving them on their own even for 10 minutes. And then one day, I think Jake was... about 12, and Shane was, you know, nearly 15 or something. And I said, come on, we're going for an hour, 1 hour. They can't come with us. It's a meeting, like at a solicitor's or something. No, we're not leaving. It went on all day. And eventually he said, look, actually, you know, they are your kids. It's up to you. But I think you're wrong. And I said, and I think you're overreacting. And I said to the boys, don't let me down. I'll have to kill you. And...
more dangerous than being left alone.
Yes, yes. And we went out for an hour and came back, and we walked in, and I said, see? And when we walked in, Shane Jr. was holding the door closed while Jake was trying to beat it down with one of his football trophies. Yeah. And they'd nearly killed each other in the hour we'd been away. And, of course, Ray was like, told you. Yeah. You know, and you just think, God, if we'd have been longer than an hour, who knows what would have happened.
Absolutely. Yeah, you wouldn't have needed to kill them.
No,
they killed each other. OK, it's competition time again, so listen up.